Hello viewers, welcome back to Hands-On Games. Today we are going to early 20th century Russia, and we are going to be looking at Soviet Dawn, the Russian Civil War, 1918 to 1921, States of Siege game number 1. Designed by Darren Leveloff, graphic design and development by Alan Emmerich, and game map by Tim Allen. Now, if you are a regular subscriber to this channel, you know that we've already looked at Israeli independence recently, which was Game 0, as I like to call it, in the States of Siege series. So Soviet Dawn, we're going to look at today, is number 1, and this is the precursor. So if you want to follow these videos in order, I'd say go back, check out my video on Israeli independence, and then come back to this one. Soviet Dawn did surprise me. It's a lot more going on, a lot more in depth than I expected the first game in the series to be after Israeli independence, which was a pretty simple dice chucker. You're fending off enemies and getting through games in 10 minutes or so. However, Soviet Dawn has a lot more stuff going on, a lot more going for it. But before I jump into how the game plays, let me just finish talking about what you get when you buy the game. It is a polybag game, so you will be receiving it in this polybag with all the components inside. The only die that you will get is one of these little mini dies that come with most offerings from Victory Point Games. I need to put these in a safe place at some point because I know I'm going to lose them. Inside the polybag, besides that die, you get all the pieces that I have laid out on the board right now. You get all the cards that I'll show you in a second. You get the instructions. In this case, it's a 8-page instruction booklet, which is actually printed on a couple 11 by 17 pages that are just folded into themselves, so pretty typical. The manual is what I would call good, serviceable. I'm not a huge fan of this kind of format for my manuals, but I really have no choice but to like them since I really like Victory Point Games, and this is what they choose for pretty much all their manuals. So it's something I've learned to live with, and it's something you actually get better at reading over time. So maybe not as approachable as some of the more mainstream games, but I tell you, if there's something not covered in here, it's very rare. You rarely have to ask questions on Board Game Geek for clarifications. So very, very thorough. What else do you get? So the map and the pieces. What you'll notice, let me just zoom out real quick. Today I'm using a piece of plexiglass to hold the map flat. That's because sometimes when the maps come in the polybag, they can be a little bit hard to lay flat, and you have little bumps and the pieces slide around. So for the video especially, I wanted to make sure everything was nice and flat. So I am using a piece of plexiglass. But here's the map. It's an 11 by 17 map. And geez, lots of counters that are functional and get the job done. So here's looking at a couple right here. Germany, Baltic counter, an Allies counter. Some of these, when you flip them over, have an inactive side, and that's where the Allies will be starting in our run through. What else can I tell you? So it's a very functional game board. So the functionality extends not just through gameplay, but for keeping track of your extra pieces, different tables, but very thematic at the same time. So the way you win and lose in Soviet Dawn is, first of all, you can lose two ways. You can either have the enemy armies enter Moscow, instant loss, or your political marker can move down to 0, instant loss. So already, for those of you that are only familiar with Israeli independence, you see that we now not only have just a single point to defend, we have politics to deal with. Now, the way politics works in the game is fairly simple, but just interesting enough that it really does have a nice pull to it in terms of gameplay and mechanics. There are cards that you will pull that will push this back down. There are events that will happen on the map. There's a nice correlation between what's happening on the map and what can happen on the political level track. For example, if you have armies enter Petrograd, St. Petersburg or Petrograd, during the game, that's going to force the political marker down 1. If you have them cross this Curzon line when this card is in play, and there's a marker here to note that it is in play, that will also do the same thing, as well as Kiev. So there's different ways for action over here to affect the political track, but of course you can take actions to push that political track back up as well. Also on the board, you have the status of World War I, which is going to impact gameplay. You have holders here for your available resources, for extra offensives and extra roles on the political table. You have a spot here that you hope to fill up with removed fronts. It's possible to actually take some of these fronts off the board. Over here, we're just keeping track of markers that aren't yet in play. And finally, the Red Army reorganization table. You'll be lucky to get one of these markers into play, and it also has the corresponding explanation for how they're used. So a lot of stuff going on the board for a new war gamer who's just coming from Israeli independence. I highly recommend this as a way to wade in deeper into the war game territory. So that's it in a nutshell. It plays in about 20 to 30 minutes if you're lucky. It can also play a lot shorter if you lose really quickly or get some very bad die rolls or make some poor decisions. Setup is a two-step process. First of all, you get your board set up, and you're going to start by getting Finland. You're going to have 2 extra markers over here for the Baltic and Finland, so they're not in play yet. They come in later. Okay, so here's how the board lays out. Allies start inactive. Finland starts active on their number 4 space. Oops, the number 4 space, active. The Baltic marker, Germany, is active on their number 4 space. Poland, inactive at Warsaw on their number 4 space. The Southern armies are going to be active on their number 4 space, and the Eastern armies are going to be active on their number 5 space. So a lot of 4s, 1 5. There's lots of things you'll learn about playing this game that are important. You want to keep that political level track above 1, because down to 0 you're going to lose the game. You also want to keep an eye on this Eastern Army. You want to keep them in their 4 and 5 towards the beginning of the game, because early in the game, Tsar Nicholas is going to play a key role in this game. If this army is in the 3, 2, or 1 spot when that particular card comes out, the Tsar escapes, and for the rest of the game, for all of your attacks, you're going to have a -1 DRM or dice roll modifier, making it very hard to have any success in the game. However, if this army is in the 4 or 5, we are successful in taking out the Tsar and his family and taking out their support for the anti-Bolshevik regime. Now that I've used the word Bolshevik, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I really don't. All I know is that the start of the Soviet Union happened as a result of the Russian Civil War. They are socialists, also known as Bolsheviks. So that's all you really need to know about this game. You are Lenin, Stalin, those guys, and you are trying to push your ideology and, win this fight for control of Russia and start what we then knew as the USSR. So don't feel like you can't play these games, these States of Siege games, if you aren't familiar with the source material. And I will tell you that they're also a very good way to introduce yourself to the source material. So if you are interested in the beginnings of the Soviet Union, this is a great way to get into it. Okay, so we've set up the board. The last thing we need to do is get the cards ready, and I've mentioned there's 3 sets of cards, and it's really easy. The game itself tells you when to shuffle in the other decks of cards. So when you start, you're just starting with these gray titled cards. You shuffle them up. You create a draw pile and you're just going to flip cards and follow the instructions. Now you might be wondering, well, what's this picture of a card? Is that just a sample? No. It's one really cool part of the game that happens about halfway through where you're going to have to decide whether you accept peace with the Germans, or you say, you know, screw that, we're going to keep fighting. And depending on depending on the state of the board at the time when that card comes up, that's usually going to dictate the decision you make. But we'll get to that in the run-through. So create your draw pile, and that's how you set up Soviet Dawn. Let me go ahead and get resituated, and we'll go ahead and do a run-through of the game so you can see how it plays. Like I said, I've played this 10 times, I've won twice, so the odds are that this could be a quick game, but it's most likely going to be a loss. But with Victory Point Games States of Siege, that's par for the course and to be expected, and just makes you want to play again. So let's get going with a run-through. Okay, so we are ready to go ahead and do a playthrough. Hopefully have some success. Unlike Zulus on the Ramparts, if you've been watching this channel, you know that I did skip ahead after Israeli independence. I didn't have all the parts in this game. I had to wait for Victory Point Games to ship some missing counters to me. So I skipped ahead. I went and played Zulus on the Ramparts and did an episode on that. And in that game, you're actually managing cards in your hand. In this game, you're not. So everything you need to play is right here on the board, in addition to the die right here. Let's see. So how the board lays out in the start. You've got this Eastern Army track. They are active. Southern Army is active. The Polish Army over here is inactive. Baltics, active. Finland and allies, inactive. So when we draw these cards, it's going to tell us which armies are going to move, how many actions we get to take, and any restrictions. We're then going to take we're going to move the armies. We're going to conduct our actions, resolve any political dissent, and do the whole thing over again. So let's take a look at what one of these cards looks like. So you're going to get your typical flavor text title, and this one says Minorities Form Breakaway Republics. You get instructions on which armies to advance along their paths, and you get how many actions, any restrictions, and finally the flavor text, which is actually really informational and fun to read. So I will not show these cards all close up as I play through, but just want to give you an idea of what they look like. Oh, and that number 12 right there is simply there to let you know it's the card ID in case you want to put them in any other order or a specific order, such as the historical order the events happened in. The beauty of these Victory Point States of Siege games is you shuffle the deck each time, so the actions that happen in real life happen in random order, making each playthrough interesting. Okay, so Allies advance. No, they don't. They're inactive. Finland does not advance. Only the Eastern Army advances. We get 2 actions. I do not like the Eastern Army getting close to that 3 spot. So we are going to battle them. We need to roll higher than a 3 to push them back 1 space. We do not get it. We're going to try a second time with our second action. And we get it. We get a 5. So we push them back. That's the turn. And by the way, the sequence of play is printed here on the board, but it's really straightforward. Draw a card, perform enemy movement, conduct your actions, resolve any political dissent, wash, rinse, repeat. Red Terror, advance Finland. No, we don't. They are inactive. No restrictions. We get 1 action. We are going to use that action to try to improve our political level. So we need a 4, 5, or 6, because to go from to raise up when you're in the 1, 2, or 3 spot, you need to roll higher than a 3. Over here, it's higher than a 4, higher than a 5, until you get to the victory spot. So we have 1 action. We're trying to look for a 4, 5, or 6, and we get it. So we now have a level 2 on the political level track. Okay, next card. German Baltic Division lands in Finland. Baltics are going to move this turn. Finland, no. Southern, yes, from 4 to 3. 2 actions, no restrictions. Let's see. We are going to use the opportunity. Yeah, let's go ahead and push the Southern back with 2 actions. Fail on the first roll. and fail on the second roll with another 3. Okay, so no successes there. Hoffman offensive launched. Baltics moving up. Okay, that's a problem. Baltics are now in the 2 spot. Southern moves another 1 to 2. We get 2 actions, but no offensives allowed during the Baltic this turn. That's a problem. If Baltic moves forward 1 next turn, political level will move down. So, 2 actions. Let's get that political level up higher. There we go. We got a 4. And let's try to raise it up 1 more with our second action. We didn't do it. All right. Next turn. Advance Finland and Southern. We don't advance Finland, but we do advance Southern to 1. Okay, Southern Army is now 1 step from Moscow. That's bad. If the enemy armies enter Moscow, you lose the game. So, we have 3 actions and no restrictions. So we're going after the Southern Army. We roll a 3, that's a miss. Second of 3 actions against the Southern Army. Another 3, that's another miss. Final action is a 6, and that's a hit. Pushing them back to 2. Next card. Finland, Poland, and Eastern advance on the Czech Legion Revolts card. Finland doesn't move, Poland doesn't move, they're still inactive, but Eastern moves up 1. Now we get 4 actions, but we get a -1 DRM versus Eastern until the Czech Legion Sales card comes up. So, bad news for us, but there's this counter here that we're going to use to signify that the Czech Legion has appeared, and we now have a -1 DRM versus Eastern while this is in effect. So you put that right on the board as a reminder. We have 4 actions. We have the Baltic front to worry about and the Eastern front. Even with this -1 DRM, we want to push these guys back to 5. So let's start over here. 4 minus 1 is 3. That's not good enough. We need a 5 or a 6. Second roll. We got another 4. Third roll. A 5. Okay, so we finally got what we needed. We have 1 action left. Let's attack the Baltic front over here. We need a 5 or a 6. We didn't get it. That's all of our actions for this turn, but we still don't like the fact that they're 1 step from Petrograd, so we are going to go ahead and use our first extra reserve offensive counter. That's now out of play. We roll again, hoping for a 5 or 6. We don't get it. We're going to do it again. I think you can see where I'm going with this. I do not want them to enter Petrograd. Roll again. We don't get what we need, and that time we got a 2. We're going to do it again. We're pushing our luck. All right, we finally got that 5 we needed. Baltics move back to the 3 spot. So that's our turn. We still have 2 reserve offensives left, and we still have 2 political decree markers left. These can be used in the same way as an extra roll against the political table. We don't really need to do that just yet. Finnish Civil War breaks out. We're going to advance the Baltic. So they're back to the 2 spot. And we get 3 actions, and the Finland track is now activated. All right, so great news all around. So we have this German army coming up on Petrograd. We got the Finns now activated. We got 3 actions. We have 2 reserve offensive left. Let's go ahead and try to push back the German army. Again, we need a 5 or a 6. All right, got ourselves a 6. That was 1 action. We have 2 left. Southern Army, let's push them back. All right. And then finally, with our last action, let's try to get the political track up to level 4. We did not do it. All right. Move on to the next card. Finnish leader Mannerheim emerges. Advance the Baltic. That German army is now back to 2 again. And Finland now moves into the action from 4 to 3. We get 2 actions, but we're going to replace the Finnish front with the Mannerheim 4 unit, and that is bad news for us. So the Finnish army activated, and in the next card got stronger. So this is looking bad for Moscow up here. All right, 2 actions. We're going to need to push definitely the German army back. We need a 5 or a 6. Got a 1. And second roll. Oh, we got ourselves a 6. All right, so Baltics back to 3. So Finns and Germans on their number 3 spots. With our 2 actions, we'll leave them there. Let's keep going. Treaty of Brest-Litovsk signed. or we can do the Bukharan option. So here's where it gets interesting. We have a choice of either using this card or this card. Now, if we decide to go ahead and sign the treaty, we're going to go ahead and add the next deck of cards, the darkness cards. We're going to activate the allies, which is bad because they're a strength 4. And at the same token, though, Germany goes inactive, so we would flip the Germans over, so we'd be trading the allies for the Germans. Or we can take the Bukharan option and vow to fight a revolutionary war. In real life, the treaty was signed. But if we choose this option, we're going to retreat the Baltics 1 space, so they're number 4. We're still going to add these darkness cards. Germany does remain active, but the allies will stay inactive, and we gain a political point. So really, you know, how I look at this is one way or another, a level 4 enemy is going to be active, and we're not worried about the Eastern Front advancing because of the Bukharan option, because they're already on 5. Finland's advancing either way, so you know what? We are not going to sign the treaty. Besides, the 2 times that I've won this game, it's been with the Bukharan option. So, we are going to vow to fight a revolutionary war. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, Finland advances. The Eastern advances. We're going to retreat the Baltics to their number 4 spot. And we are going to add the darkness cards to the main deck. So let me get those shuffled in. What else are we doing? So Germany remains active, allies remain inactive. I like that. And we're going to gain a political point at the end of this turn. So don't let me forget. And actually, just so I don't forget, because we're not in danger of our political track level right now doing anything weird, we're just going to go ahead and take that now. So moving that up to number 4. All right, so Finland advanced, Eastern advanced, Baltics retreated. We get 1 action. And we have this marker here, the Great War status, that shows us we have taken the Bukharan option, and it has a little picture of them on there, and it says fight. So that's us being all, you know, thumping our chests and not accepting the treaty. So that marker goes there just as a reminder of which one you chose. New deck is set. And we have 1 action. 1 action, 1 action, 1 action. What are we going to do? Boy. Yeah, Finland. What am I thinking? We got to get Finland. We got to push Finland back. So we need a 5 or a 6. With our 1 action, we got ourselves a 6. All right. We are hanging in there. Latvian riflemen support Red Cause. We're going to advance the Eastern. Not good. And Poland, currently inactive. So we get 3 actions, but we have +2 DRM versus Baltic, don't need it. +1 DRM versus Southern, okay. Or Eastern, yes. So 3 actions. Let's go after the Eastern with the 1 DRM. We got it. Let's do it. Let's hit him again with our 2nd action. Got him. All right, so they pushed all the way back. Now with our 3rd, let's take advantage of the DRM on the Southern and try to push the Southern back. Got them back. 4 + 1 is 5. They're done. All right. Chukayevsky advances boldly. Advance Finland. They're now to the 2. Advance the Southern. Back to the 3. We get 3 actions. +1 DRM versus Eastern or Poland. +1 DRM to reorganize. Okay, so this is one of the few cards that makes it very tempting to roll against the reorganization table. Given the fact that we are not in imminent danger, we have to take advantage of that. But first, I want to push Finland back. So first, with these 3 actions, I know we don't get DRM for this, but I don't like Finland hanging out 1 space outside of Petrograd. So we're looking for a 5 or a 6. And we got ourselves a 6. I am rolling more 6s tonight than I have in a long time. So we have 2 more actions left. And we have a +1 DRM to reorganize. So what we're looking here is we're rolling for reorganization. We need a 5 or a 6 with that 1 DRM. All right, we didn't get that. Let's try one more time. We don't get opportunities like this very often in this game. and we rolled ourselves a 5, plus 1 is 6. Now that we're going to get something cool, we get to roll a d6 one more time, and depending on what number we rolled, that's the prize we get. So let's see what we get. Number 2, it's a new one for me. Number 2 is Red Army Tank Corps. 1 action to move to a front unit, plus 1 DRM for all offensives versus that front unit while on it. All right, so what this is saying is I can take this marker and I can use one of my actions during my turn to move this marker to one of the fronts, and it'll be a plus 1 DRM for all offensives versus that front while it's on it, and I can use an action, you know, on another turn to move it to another front if I want to. So shoot, now I can't remember. Was that our second action or third action? I believe that was our third action, so I can't use that yet. That's the end of our turn. So great that we got something off this table. That's awesome. Trotsky leads Reds, saves Petrograd, advance the Southern Army. Southern goes from 3 to 2. 2 actions, or I get to place a fortress marker on Petrograd. I am totally doing that. So I'm using this marker that says Petrograd fortified. I'm going to put that on the board right here as a reminder that Petrograd is now fortified. So what's cool is armies will not automatically be able to enter Petrograd if the card tells them to. Instead, they're going to have to make a second roll, and they have to roll lower than their battle value. So right now, they're both 4. So if either the Finnish army or the Baltic army happen to get a card that says they enter Petrograd, you have to roll again. And if you're able to roll, well, not able to, but if you unfortunately roll a 1, 2, or 3, then they enter. If you roll a 4, 5, or 6, they're held off by the fortifications. So we're not going to take any action this turn because we used that fortification. So that's it for the turn. Makhno leads Anarchist Revolt. All right, so this time we have to roll a die. If we roll a 1, 2, or 3, the Southern Army advances. If we roll a 4, 5, or 6, they retreat. Obviously, we want a 4, 5, or 6. We get a 5. They retreat from 2 to 3. We get 1 action, but we're also going to have to roll for political dissent after we take our action. I'll show you that in a second. For our 1 action, however, we are going to get that political level up, I think. So let's try to raise political level. We do need a 5 or a 6. And we didn't get it. Okay, so now we're going to roll for political dissent. And it also says here in red, if Dawn card's not yet in play, which is the current state of the game, add this card to the Dawn cards pile, i.e. it recycles. So we're gonna execute this card, add it to the deck of cards that we have yet to bring into play, the Dawn cards, and it'll come up again later if we make it that far. Knock on wood. Okay, so we are going to roll on this table right here. This could be very good for us. A 1 or a 2, we're going to lose a political level. A 3 or a 4, no effect. A 5 or a 6, we're going to gain a political level. If we rolled higher than a 6 because of DRMs, which we don't have right now, we could possibly gain 2 points. So right now, we're going to roll on the political dissent table. Oh wait, yeah, because our action was trying to roll on that to begin with. We rolled a 6. All right, we just got ourselves a bonus political level. It all worked out. Now it's up to 5. Flip another card. Revolt of Left Socialist Revolutionaries. Advance the Baltic and advance Eastern. We get 2 actions and see 7.6 in the rulebook. And in this case, we can just follow what the card says. So after we take our 2 actions, if the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk accepted, which it wasn't, then we're going to roll for political dissent. If the Bukharin option was chosen instead, which it was, we're going to automatically gain 1 political point. Again, a great reason to not sign that treaty. So first of all, let's take our 2 actions, knowing that we're going to get another political point once the turn is over. For our 2 actions, we're going to fight the Easterns here. Again, -1 DRM, so we need a 5 or a 6. We don't get it. Let's try that one more time. We got ourselves a 6. So the Easterns are pushed back. That's our 2 actions. And because of this card, we get another political point. So we're up to 6. Stalin defeats Whites at Red Verdun. Advance the Baltic. All right, they're getting close now. They're at the 2 square, and Poland's still inactive. We get 3 actions, +1 DRM versus Southern, and a +1 DRM to reorganize. We're going to take our first action of the 3, and we're going to go ahead and put the Tank Corps on the Baltic. And we're going to take advantage of that. With 2 actions left, we're going to fight the Baltic. 3 + 1 is 4, not good enough. So our final action, we got ourselves a 6, that is good enough. We push them back. The Tank Corps will stay over here with this German army to keep fighting on that front. Dunster Force lands to protect oil region. We're going to advance the Eastern. We're going to advance the Allies. No, we're not. And 3 actions if German capitulation has occurred, which it has not. 1 action if not. Okay, so we're only going to take 1 action. No restrictions. We're automatically going to lose 1 political point at the end of this turn. So our 1 action is going to be a fight against the Eastern. Again, -1 DRM. And we don't have any success there. All right. Next turn, Don Cossacks attack. Is German aid involved? Advance Southern and Poland. Only Southern's going to advance. We get 3 actions, -1 DRM to Southern, and a +1 DRM to reorganization. So again, tempting us for reorganization. 3 actions. We've been rolling so many 6s, it's tempting to roll on reorganization and crush this game, but first I want to roll on Eastern. I'm really scared of the Tsar escaping. We haven't gotten to that card yet. So again, we need a 5 or a 6. Got ourselves a 4. Second action. A 3. Final action. A 4. So we wasted all 3 actions over here. Let's use another offensive. 3, and what the heck, let's blow it. Let's go for it. Going for a 5 or a 6. Ah, we finally got it. Okay, push them back. That's the end of that turn. Japan seizes Siberia, occupies Vladivostok. Advance Baltic. Advance Poland, they're stuck. Allies stuck. Okay, 2 actions. +1 DRM versus Eastern. So that's basically a wash over here, but they're already pushed back. +1 DRM to reorganize. They're tempting us again. We're automatically going to lose 1 political point. And you know what? I believe I forgot about automatically losing the political point a couple cards ago. So we're actually down to 5. Who knows how many other mistakes I've made, but hopefully not too many. We're going to lose another one this turn. Boy. This is the fun of the game. You got to figure out what you want to do. When it's on camera, it's that much harder. All right. 2 actions. I know we get the DRM to reorganize. Let's take advantage of the tanks. +1 DRM. They're a strength of 4. All right, rolled a 5. So we push them back to the 3 spot, and we have 1 action left. Let's roll on the political table. We need a 5 or a 6. We rolled a 5. So what happens is we pushed them up, and this card pushes it right back. So we're still right here in 5. By the way, if we do push it up all the way to Allies Indecisive, when the Allies activate, we can kind of freeze them in place if we get up to here, but we're not there yet. So next card. Polish National Uprising. Eastern advances. Finland advances. Southern advances. Ruh-roh. 3 actions. And the Poland track has activated. All right, things are getting interesting now. 3 actions. Let's take care of the Southern Army first. No good. Second action. Uh-oh. Third action. I can't see it. I can't see it. What is it? Oh, God. All right. So, we have no more reserve offensives. We have the Southern Army one step away from winning. So really, we got to flip a card and see what happens. You know, we could make an effort here to roll twice in the political table, but the best we could do is get it up to 7. That's not going to win the game for us. So no point in doing that just now. So if it's Southern, they march into Moscow. It's not. It's advanced to Eastern. They're now into the 3 spot, which I hate. 2 actions. No offensives allowed versus Finland this turn. Fine. Allies track activated. All right, so now the Allies are in the game. Woohoo! 2 actions. Well, we got to start with Southern. Please, let's get a 4, 5, or 6. All right. Now, with our second action, we want a 5 or a 6 to push the Eastern back. Yes, we got it. All right. We're hanging in there. Ottomans seize Caucasus, advance Finland. All right. Finland will try to advance into Petrograd, and Southern moves up to the 1 spot. So, Finland has to roll, because of the fortification, a 1, 2, or 3 in order to advance. And they rolled a 6, or I rolled a 6. I'm good at that tonight. And they do not advance. Southern advanced to the 1 spot. We get 3 actions and a -1 DRM to all offensives this turn. So, -1 DRM to the Southern. We rolled a 6. That's good enough to push them back to the 2 spot. We have 2 more actions. We are going to attack the Southern one more time. No good there. With our last action, since we have the -1 DRM to offensives, let's go ahead and roll in the political table. 5 or a 6. 3. Not good enough. All right, so that's it for that turn. No war, no peace proclaimed. Advance the Baltic. Advance Finland. Let's see if they advance right now. They need a 1, 2, or 3 to advance. They do not advance. Thank you, Petrograd fortification. Eastern, they advance. And Southern, they advance. 3 actions, no restrictions. First one is going to be against the Southern Army. Roll high. All right. Second action. Against the Eastern Army. I know we have the -1 DRM. We have to push them back to the 4. I feel that Tsar Nicholas card coming. So we need a 5 or a 6. We have 2 actions. 1 more. Come on, 5 or 6. Darn it. All right. Next card. Hungry Spring. Kulaks threatened. Advance the Baltic. Well, first of all, we have to check. They only advance if it's a 1, 2, or 3. Ah, they advance. So, Baltic now is in Petrograd. We move the political marker down 1 since they advanced there. Poland advances from Warsaw to Lvov. 4 to 3, that's easier to say. And Eastern advances to 2. There's no holding them back now. All right, 3 actions. No offensives allowed versus Southern this turn. That's okay. They're on their 2 spot. Obviously, Baltic's an issue. We got the +1 DRM with those tank corps. All right, 6. Did you see that? Pushed them back to their number 2 spot. 2 actions left. Yeah, I know. It's a crapshoot. All right, Eastern, we need a 5 or a 6. Got it. That's our second action. Third action, we're feeling lucky. Going to the Eastern again. Didn't get it. Okay. Trotsky introduces political commissars, advance the Allies. All right, first time we've seen them move, down from 4 to 3. 3 actions, +1 DRM on all offensives. We're going to lose a political point at the end of this turn, back down to international pariah status. Awesome. 3 actions, 3 actions, 3 actions. Eastern, need a 5 or a 6. Eastern again with our second action. Third action, Eastern. I'm stubborn. Got our 6. Constituent Assembly dissolved. Advance Finland. Do they advance? They need a 1, 2, or 3. They didn't get it. It's a 4. Just FYI, even if they advance in and out of Petrograd, the fortification still stays there. So it worked for us that time. Baltic, same thing. They need a 1, 2, or 3 to advance. They don't. So fortification held that time. Great. 3 actions, and we're going to roll for political dissent after we take our 3 actions. Our 3 actions. Oh boy. Okay. Let's roll 4, 5, or 6 to try to push the Southern Army back. We rolled a 1. That was our first action. Second action will be the Baltic Army. Try to push them back. 3 + 1 is 4. Not good enough. They're a strength 4. That's 2 cruddy results. Let's roll on the political table. We need a 5 or a 6 to move up. Didn't get it. Now we're going to roll for political dissent. Hope for a high number. Ugh, it's a 2. Means we lose 1. Down to 3. Okay. Next card. Tsar's fate decided in Ekaterinburg. All right. Baltics, moving, are they? Let's see, 1, 2, or 3. No, they do not. Allies move, yeah they do. Down to number 2. Poland moves to the number 2 spot. This card is not yet in play, so there's no marker there, so nothing dramatic happens because of that just yet. And Southern moves to the number 1. All right. 3 actions, but first we're going to check the status of Ekaterinburg and apply the Tsar's fate. Okay, so that's this city right here. This is what I've been talking about all game. This is the card we were waiting to come out. Luckily, because the Eastern Army is in the 4 or the 5, we took care of the Tsar and his family. They are not going to be a problem. They were executed, so sorry for the squeamish, but the entire Tsar Nicholas II and the royal Romanov family members are no more. So fortunately, we do not have to worry about this marker that says Tsar liberated, because if we did, we would have a -1 DRM on all offenses everywhere for the remainder of the game. You do not want to have this happen to you. So, word of the wise, keep the Eastern Army back here at all costs. So, this is still in play though. We have not gotten rid of this Czech Legion marker. Okay, so 3 actions. 3 actions. Southern Army. We need a 4, 5, or 6. We got ourselves a 5. They're back to 2. Second action. Boy, those allies are getting close too. Second action. Because we have the tank corps here on the Baltic Army, our second action is going to be to move those tanks over to fight the allies. Third action is to fight them. All right, we got them. So push them back. Whew. Spanish flu becomes a global pandemic. Sweet. Everybody's retreating who's active. Eastern retreats, Southern retreats, Poland retreats, Baltic retreats, Finland retreats, and the Allies retreat. Oh, sweetness. Okay, no actions, no offensives anywhere. It's, the Spanish flu affects everybody. No getting away from the Spanish flu. White Guard takes Ice March to Kuban. Advance the Eastern Army. No big deal. Retreat the Southern. Sweet! 2 actions, no restrictions. Political level track is where we're going. We just need a 4, 5, or 6 to move up 1. We get our 6. And a second action, we're doing that again. But this time we need a 5 or a 6. And we got ourselves a 5. All right. Looking good, looking good. Jazzy Conference reveals disunity, retreat the allies. Oh, they've already retreated as far as they can go. We get one action, and then we're going to roll on the political dissent table. With that one action, we are rolling on the political level table again. Let's see if we can push that up higher. 5 or a 6. We got it. All right. I'm rolling really, really, really lucky tonight. This is kind of cool. All right, now we're going to roll repeatedly on the political track, with a +1 DRM max until an unsuccessful die roll is made or victory is achieved. All right, so we need a 5 or a 6. We could win the game right here. We'd have to roll a 5 or a 6, and then a 6, and then a 6, and another 6. So it's, you know, the odds are low, but it's possible. So unsuccessful die roll is made. That ends that. All right, so Frederick Karl abdicates the throne. Eastern advances, Baltic advances, and Southern advances. One action, no restrictions. And we do have our first withdrawal opportunity. The Finland front can be removed from play this turn if I push it back here. Now, I will tell you that I have cheated. I've looked ahead in the expansion kit, and they actually added rules in the game to make the withdrawal of armies a little bit harder, but let's pretend we don't know about the rules that are in this expansion kit for now. And the rule as written in the original rules, redundant, is if the army is at their starting space when the political dissent phase comes up, they get removed and get put down here into removed fronts, bonus points for the end of the game. So with that one action, we are going to take the chance and try to push Finland back. We have no extra reserve offensive, so we have one shot at this, but we can get Finland out of the game. If there was a time we needed a 5 or a 6, it is now. And we don't get it. So Finland stays in the game. That was anticlimactic. Extreme weather hampers operations. All right, we're going to have to roll a die. Let's see what we get. We got a 6, and what does that mean? It means Southern and Eastern advance to their 2 spaces. And we get 2 actions. No offensives allowed versus allies, Baltic or Poland. So basically everything in the north here, because of extreme weather, no offensives up here. But Southern and Eastern, we can do some offensives, or we can roll on the political track. But right now, let's roll against the Southern with first action. We fail. Let's try it again. And we fail. All right, so nothing good for Lenin that turn. Naval showdown in the Baltic Sea. Advance the Allies. Advance Baltic. All right, let's see if they make it into Petrograd. They need a 1, 2, or 3. They don't get it. And advance Finland. We get 3 actions, and then we are going to roll for political dissent again. So we're going to be rolling on this table. 3 actions. 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. But what's nice about these is we have the fortification. 3 actions. Eastern Army still got the -1 DRM. Southern Army. Nope. Second action, Southern Army. Nope. Third action, Southern Army. Nothing. All right, so our die has gone cold. Okay, finally. German capitulation, the Great War ends. So Great War status now goes to this final box. Germany capitulates, Great War ends. Advance to Southern. They are on our doorsteps again. 2 actions. Add the Dawn cards. So finally we add the Dawn cards to this one remaining card in the deck. Replace Germany with Udenich, which is good because this new counter is only strength 3. So that helps us. And Allies track is activated if it hadn't been already, but it already is. All right, so our new deck is all set. We get our 2 actions. No offensives versus the Baltic this turn, which is fine because right now it's the Southern Army that we're worried about. So 2 actions, Southern Army, here we go. F3. All right, this is bad. I don't want to lose the game at this point to the Southern Army. I hate to lose to a 3-strength army, but here we go. No effectiveness there. Okay, so again, we are 1 step away from possibly losing. There's nothing we can do about it. We have no more available resources. For fun, now though, because I don't want to leave counters on the table, sort of like a football game, you don't want to leave timeouts on the board, we're going to go ahead and use these 2 political decree counters to go ahead and roll twice on the political level track. Let's see how high we can get that. We're going to use it twice, obviously. So our last 2 counters, we need a 5 or 6 to move up 1 more. Nope. Try it again. Nope. All right, so we're still stuck at 6. Another card. If it's Southern advancing, the game is over. Not yet. Eastern advances to the 1 spot. Allies advance to the 2 spot. We get 2 actions. And now we have the Curzon line marker coming into play right here, which basically says offensives into box 3 crossing that line cause -1 political point each. So check it out. So now we're putting that marker here. If Poland advances across this line, we're moving the political track down. We'd also do that if they enter Kiev. We'll also do that again if folks enter Petrograd. So, you know, bad, bad, bad. 2 actions, Southern Army, come on. 4, 5, or 6. 1 more action, Southern Army. Of course, we got the Eastern, so finally we got the 4. That pushes the Southern back, but now we got the Eastern 1 step away, so maybe we lose to them. Let's find out. Oh my lord. All right, Finland moving into Petrograd. Let's see, they need a 1, 2, or 3. They don't get it. Poland, all right, so here we go. Poland crosses that line into the 2 box. Political level now down to 5. Now, note this, if I push Poland back and they cross again, that'll be another decrease of the political level track. So, but if they advance into Kiev, they also lower the political level track. So, late game, Poland can hurt you. All right, Finland advanced. Poland didn't advance. They didn't get their die they needed. Poland did. We get 2 actions, a +1 DRM versus Eastern. It's like the card knew what we needed. So here we go. All right, Eastern back, 1 more action. Eastern again. And, oh shoot. Wait, what was that last roll? It was -1 DRM. It was a high roll, so that was correct. But this one, -1 DRM still in play, didn't work. So we're out of actions. Baltic advances. Let's see if they do. They need to roll a 1 or a 2. They do not. And the Allies advance. Uh-oh. Allies are into the number 1 spot. All right, we get 2 actions. +1 DRM versus Baltic and Finland. During the political dissent phase, if Baltic front occupies Petrograd, expel it this turn or you lose. Luckily they don't, so we don't have to worry about that. But that +1 DRM versus Baltic and Finland isn't very useful right now. We got to take care of these allies. So we get a +1 DRM, strength of 4. So we need a 4, 5, or 6. And we got ourselves a 6. So we move the allies back 1. We have 1 more action. Let's push the allies back 1 more if we can. We do. All right. I think that's it for that turn. Czech Legion sails. Ticket paid in gold. So here's our first Twilight. Is that our first Twilight? No, it's not. Sorry. Dawn. Sorry. It's not our first Dawn card either. All right. Allies advance. Poland advances into Kiev, and that lowers the political track. And retreat Eastern. All right. Now the problem is, oh, and we can remove the Czech Legion marker from play. So that's finally done. No more DRM over here. We've got a problem though. We've got 2 actions. We've got allies on the doorstep, and we've got Poland on the doorstep. Both are as likely, I think, to enter... Oh no, allies are not on the doorstep. They are number 2. So Poland, we've got to push them back. We need a 4, 5, or 6, 2 actions. Got a 6. Let's push them back again. All right. That's our 2 actions. Poles break through and counteroffensive. Eastern moves up. Southern moves up. Poland moves ahead 2 boxes. Yes, 2 boxes. 1 political descent down, 2 political descent, or political level down to 2. So political level is dropping like crazy, like the thermometer in a Russian winter. We get 4 actions though, no restrictions. So Southern and Poland are the priorities. So let's start with Southern. All right, we've pushed them back to the 2 spot. Let's go back to Poland. Need a 4, 5, or 6. We got a 1, not good enough. 3rd action, push Poland back to the number 2 spot. Now with our last action, let's push Poland back again. I hope. Nope. All right. Next card. Now remember, this is the deck. This is all we have to get through to finish the game and get a military victory. But you can see how tense it's getting and how these rolls are such a big deal at this point in the game. Anti-Semitic pogroms, not good. Advance the Baltic. Do they advance? They need a 1 or a 2. They advance into Petrograd. Oh no, our political level is down to 1. And look at this. The Allies advance to number 1. Final advance is Poland, moving into Kiev. Political level 0. Collapse. Game over. The Soviets lose their bid for the country. And who knows what happens now, but we don't win. So let's check out how badly we lost. So we're gonna check the manual, the rule guide, and we're gonna check the section on measuring political defeat. The level of political defeat is measured by the duration of the Soviet Union before being relegated to new Russian regime. To score this, simply count the number of cards in the discard pile. Oh, the discard pile. And we're going to see what that gives us. 38. If you look on this table, it says measuring political defeat. And 38 is lessons for the future. So it wasn't dustbin of history. It wasn't failed experiment. It was lessons for the future. If we had done a little bit better, we could have got lost cause, legacy lingers. All right, so that is Soviet Dawn, number 1 in the States of Siege series. And I will be continuing on. We've already done Zulus on the Ramparts. So we will be then moving to number 3 in the States of Siege series, Empires in America, the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1762. So stay tuned for that. I have yet to even break open this poly bag. Before we end, let me just tell you that there is this expansion kit for Soviet Dawn. I do recommend that you get it. It expands the rules, adds, I don't know, about 10 new cards, maybe a dozen new cards. So if you like this game, just go ahead and buy them both at the same time. I really enjoyed this game. I was really surprised by how Darren added so much to his initial concept of Israeli independence. But once you learn the system, it is not overwhelming at all. It really only took me 3 or 4 plays to get the hang of it. I am familiar with other States of Siege games, so that's going to have some bearing on my ability to grasp the concepts quickly. But as much as I said Israeli independence is good for people who want to get into war games, this is great too. So thanks everybody for watching. If this is your first time watching a hands-on production, please subscribe. Would love to have you. If you like this content, please go ahead and click the like button. And we will be back with a new video as soon as I crack this open, learn the rules, play it a number of times, and I'll share it with you guys as soon as I can. So everybody have a good week, and I will talk to you later.